My hope for this video is that not only will we recognize the most outstanding people in the field, but we're going to inspire many future generations of social workers throughout the country and throughout the world.
This is one of the greatest accomplishments for professional social work in California, and that's because nobody knows the real story of social work and professional social work in this state. So wherever I go, whenever I get presentations, I'm talking to people, and the first question I ask them is, I want you to name a really great social worker, just somebody that really is doing everything and embodies the values of social work. And it can't be somebody that's passed away many years ago, like Jane Addams. How about somebody more contemporary? And it was hard in the beginning for people to kind of name somebody, but as the hall has become more and more prominent, and it's on the web, and we have a great list of social workers there, more and more people are saying, okay, if I don't know a great social worker who's a contemporary, I'll go to the Hall of Distinction.
This is such a wonderful event, and I've done it for a few years, and it's such a pleasure to see these great people and all the wonderful things that they have done with their social work careers.
Well, as the chair of the CSWA, I'm beside myself. It's such a wonderful event every year, the Hall of Distinction, and this one, although we've not started yet, every indication is that it's going to be one of our best events ever, drawing attention to the possibilities and the great contributions of social workers in this very difficult political, economic, and social time. I think that we will leave here tonight with a great deal of hope and understand that together there's probably nothing that we can't do.
It's a pleasure to be here, and I also have the honor of introducing Mr. Ronald Dellums as one of our inductees, and so it's an exciting thing to be able to do. So it's going to be fun, and I'm looking forward to enjoying it.
Well, I don't think there's really anything more important than the Hall of Distinction to our members and our retired members, because we're really honoring those that have helped develop our profession. But it really is such an important event because it really illustrates our roots, our foundation, and that our leaders throughout the decades have been progressive. They've done research. They've actually formulated policies and programs and practice initiatives based on evidence, not necessarily in the context of hard and fast number counting, but in what really works for people. And I think this is really an important event as a result of that.
I think it's really obvious to anybody who's worked in the field that the pioneers, the people who did the important work to set the pace for the rest of us to follow, have nowhere to be recognized and honored and their work to be brought forward. So, primarily to honor that work and to recognize it and to bring it forward for students to benefit from who are moving out in the field. But then I have a real personal interest, and that is that many people don't know that there's very innovative, creative things happening in our field north of Sacramento. Matter of fact, many people don't know that there's much north of Sacramento other than Oregon. And as a representative of the North State, I think it's wonderful to be able to identify those folks that have contributed from the rural, more remote part of the state and the uniqueness and the richness that they bring to our field and to our practice. So I could go on and on. I think this is a wonderful organization. I think the history that we capture and the hope that we promote for students and for people in need is a wonderful tribute to those who came before us.
This is Herman Gallegos. I'm really delighted to be honored in this way. I've known many of the past inductees and some of the ones joining me tonight, and I really have always admired their incredible contribution to give meaning to what the profession of social work is all about. So I'm pleased to be part of that group.
I'm ecstatic. Herman is one of my heroes, and I'm so honored to have been able to interview him. He is he's like a prophet. He is a sage. He has lots of wisdom. So get to know him.
Well, I'm here on behalf of Cal State Los Angeles. They're one of the sponsors of the event, but this really means a lot to me. Many of the people that are inducted are mentors of mine, and I wouldn't be here if it weren't for those great social workers, compassionate social workers that kind of showed me the way and took me under their wing and mentored me. So I'm just always pleased to be here.
I'm Peter Lee. I'm the acting director of the School of Social Work at San Jose State University. We're a proud sponsor of this event, and San Jose State is one of the places in the Bay Area and also in the state that we're just glad to be part of the family of educating future social workers, as well as supporting colleagues, as well as supporting our profession, and we're just glad that we're here to support all of the folks who have made the profession what it is today, because without those folks who have come before us, we wouldn't have such a wonderful profession. Thank you.
So welcome, everyone. Hello, my name's Colleen Friend, and I'm the director of the California State University, Los Angeles Child Abuse and Family Violence Institute, but I'm also the chair of the Hall of Distinction. So on behalf of the California Social Work Hall of Distinction, I want to welcome you here today, and a special welcome to our honorees, to their families and their guests. So thank you, everybody, for making the time to come here today. It's always a very moving event, and I hope that you'll join me in later on looking online at our video, because it's always a way to revisit it and have those same feelings again. So the California Social Work Hall of Distinction was formed in 2002, and later it became part of the California Social Welfare Archives, known as the California Social Welfare Archives, and we sometimes use the acronym CSWA. The CSWA is an organization that originated at the USC School of Social Work, and it's both the School of Social Work and the USC libraries that are committed to preserving and making available historically significant documents that record California's history and relationship to health and social welfare, both our challenges and our achievements in programs. We'll hear more about the archives from Esther Gillies a little bit later. The Hall of Distinction was created to honor individuals who've made outstanding contributions to our profession of social work. Tonight's honorees were nominated from the largest pool of candidates that we've ever had, so it was really difficult to make selections. But they're here, and these people had a range of achievements both in politics, some of them were elected officials, in research, in services, and also in social justice. We're indebted to them because they certainly have changed the face of how social work is practiced in the state of California. Tonight are several members of the Social Work Hall of Distinction Committee, and I'd like to recognize them. So as I call your name, I'd like to hold applause because we want to get through this. The people that are here, I'd like to have them stand. You can either stand at the end or stand as I call your name. They also have a special name tag that the print is in red. So if you have any questions about the Hall of Distinction, you could ask them. First, I'd like to ask, where's Ellen Dunbar? Ellen, can you stand? We have a special debt for Ellen tonight. She did a lot of organizing for this event, and we appreciate that. So thank you very much. She's been from the social work. She's been with the Hall of Distinction from the beginning, so she really knows our history. Suzanne Dvorak-Peck, where are you, Suzanne? Suzanne is an ambassador of the International Federation of Social Workers, which is also one of our event sponsors. And Suzanne has also sponsored the video tonight. And the video is a very important part of our mission. So thanks again for that, Susan. Okay, who else is here tonight? Let's see. Manuel Fimbres. Where are you, Manuel? Manuel. Yes, Manuel is a professor emeritus from San Jose State. And actually, Manuel was one of our inductees last year. So the last time we had this up north in 2009, we inducted Manuel. Thank you. Kim Gahagan. Kim Kim's here, and Kim is one of our new members of the Hall of Distinction. And Kim is the retired social service director in Glenn County, and he's been with us for about a year, and we thank him for his work on developing the program tonight and helping us develop the speakers. And Nancy Lim Yi. Nancy, where are you? Nancy. Nancy's one of our new members of the Hall of Distinction, and Nancy is the program director for the Chinatown Child Development Center, which is part of the San Francisco Department of Public Health. Thank you, Nancy. Okay, the other people that you're going to hear from shortly, but I'd like to also recognize them too. You're going to hear from Monica White. Monica's part of our committee. Monica. Esther Gillies. Jan Lee Wong. Ben Cuellar. Benjamin. And Joe Nunn. So all together, would you really welcome our Hall of Committee distinction members and appreciate their work. Thank you. They're a hard-working bunch of people the second Monday of the month. I really appreciate their service, and thank you for bringing this together. So today, 6 social work leaders will be inducted into the Hall of Distinction, and they will be joining the 67 social workers that are already there. The pioneers who, together with this new set, this new class, will help us understand the face of social work, how it has changed over the years in California. Tonight's induction class, as I said before, is a broad range of social workers who have achievements in both education, research, social work practice, and social justice. Their work collectively spans over 100 years and has resulted in changes in the way that social work is practiced. And it's enriched people's lives in the state of California, and that's really why we're here, and that's why we have the Social Work Hall of Distinction. At this point, I want to acknowledge our sponsors, and the sponsors are a very important part of the program, because without them, we wouldn't be able to put on such a nice reception and honor and work on developing the outreach to the families of the honorees. So I'd like to call them all by name, and some of our sponsors are actually here. So I'd like to recognize the people that are here first. And our first sponsor is the National Association of Social Workers. We'd like to recognize Jan Lee Wong. Jan Lee, did I call you out before? I see you back there. Thank you very much, Jan Lee. And thank you for everything that you've done to help this event come together. From California State University, LA, Cal State LA, yay, that's where I teach. We want to thank them for being a sponsor, and we want to honor Dr. Victor Manalo for being here, and he is also the mayor of Artesia. Welcome, Victor. From San Jose State University School of Social Work, we have Dr. Peter Lee, professor and acting director of the School of Social Work there. And he's with us tonight. And Dean Sam Davis, yes, from UC Berkeley. Thank you very much for being here tonight. And Berkeley is, as you'll see, many of the inductees that we have tonight have either taught or attended school at UC Berkeley. And we also want to acknowledge the role of Jill Dewar-Barrick, who couldn't be here tonight because she is at the Council of Social Work Education, but she was very helpful in helping us organize tonight's activities. So thank you very much there, too. Let's see, other sponsors. I think also we have a sponsorship also from UCLA Department of Social Welfare. And Mary Kay Oliveri is here tonight, and she teaches there full time, and she's representing them too. So thank you, Mary Kay. And Mary Kay is also the president of the California chapter of NASW, which deserves another applause. Thank you. Okay. So some of our sponsors couldn't be with us tonight, but we want to acknowledge them from the podium, and that's what we do in terms of getting them actually to be sponsors. We recognize them in the program, acknowledge them from the podium, and we very much appreciate their support. So we have, of course, the USC School of Social Work, which is one of our sponsors, and we want to thank Dean Marilyn Flynn, who also could not be with us because she needed to be at the Council of Social Work Education tonight. The California Deans and Directors are also a sponsor, and we really appreciate them. California State University Long Beach is a sponsor as well as California State University Stanislaus and the Loma Linda University Department of Social Work and Social Ecology. So thank you very much for those sponsorships. And now I'd like to introduce our host for the night, which is going to be Monica White. And Monica White is going to be our Mistress of Ceremonies, and she is also both in the Hall of Distinction. She's the co-chair with me, and she is also the board from the California Social Work Archives, and she's been with them for 20 years and has been a past president. So we're honored to have Monica here tonight. She went to school at USC, and she is a nationally recognized expert and lecturer in the field of aging, and she's currently an adjunct associate professor at USC School of Social Work. And Monica is a thoroughly engaging host and entertainer, and we're lucky to have her. So with that, let me turn it over to Monica. Thank you, Monica. Thanks.
Now I feel like I have to tell a joke or sing a song or something. Thank you, Colleen. Good evening. It's such a pleasure to be here and to serve as your MC for the evening. This is always a very special event. I've been involved with the Hall of Distinction from the beginning. Jim Carls, for those of you who know him, came to me at the time I was president of the California Social Welfare Archives and said, is there any way that we could do this together? And I think we really have. It's been wonderful. So I look forward to it every year. I'm nice to look out and see longtime friends. I almost said old friends. Okay. Longtime friends and lots of new friends. It's always part of what makes it so special. And it's really meaningful for all of us to come together to really celebrate these inspirational leaders that we have in our field. Tonight, I'm going to be bringing up to the podium our presenters to say a few words about the inductee. And then we'll have a chance to hear from the recipient of the induction or a representative for them. So we could actually easily enjoy an entire evening reflecting on each one of our inductees. There's, anecdotes we could hear from their inspiring journey. But we have a little problem called time, so we're going to have pretty brief, oh, yay, someone said. So, faced with the challenge of having 6 inductees in our program tonight, we're just going to kind of scratch the surface of these leaders. We'll only be able to just refer you then on to our commemorative booklet and also to our website, California Social Welfare Archives. You can put that in any search engine and you'll come upon our Hall of Distinction and our special pioneers. So I'm going to just reiterate to our presenters and our speakers that I'm going to be standing over here with this major hook so that we keep everything brave. So if you see me wandering out here, jumping up and down, then you'll know. Okay, so our first presenter tonight is Shoshana Arai. She was a close friend of our first inductee, Richard Aoki. Dr. Arai is an assistant adjunct professor in the University of California, San Francisco, in the School of Nursing. Help me welcome Shoshana.
Hello, thank you very much for inviting me here. I am an old friend of Richard Aoki's, and I wish he could have been here himself. I want to tell you a little bit about Richard. And if there was ever a social worker who was basically a fire-breathing street warrior, Richard Aoki was it. He really took very seriously all his classes at the School of Social Welfare at Berkeley, just as seriously as he took his responsibilities as one of the strike leaders for the Third World Liberations Front. He carried all this passion and intensity onward when he went to the community college district, the Peralta Community College District, and he was the one that the students turned to. He was there when students, women who were laid off from work, were fighting to get into the diesel mechanics training course. He was there when a student who had died. He made sure that student received their degree. And Richard was crazy enough to try to attend 21 graduation ceremonies at Berkeley when his students were graduating and getting their baccalaureate degree. Richard was also one of the few that was asked to give the eulogy when a Black Panther had died. So Richard, as a social worker, was on the front lines with the Black Panthers and with every single student who needed his help. And we are forever grateful for that. So I want to now turn this over to Dr. Tom Aoki, and he's going to be accepting this award for Richard.
Well, on behalf of the Aoki clan, primarily based or from the Nagano-ken area of northern Japan, I'd like to accept this wonderful honor. My exposure to Richard Aoki was when I was a kid and he was a kid. We grew up together, and he actually graduated from college. I was a Berkeley dropout. So I never had the distinction of graduating from college. But the record that he created became known to me when I came back from medical school. And the record is wonderful. I think the whole Aoki family and clan is so appreciative of the work that he has done. And I think with that, I would just say thank you.
Okay, our next presenter is a former chair of the Hall of Distinction Committee and remains an active member. He is professor and dean emeritus of California State University at Fresno, and it's Ben Cuellar. I saw you earlier, Ben. Come on up.
I'm going to be talking about Herman Gallegos today. Herman Gallegos earned his MSW from UC Berkeley in 1958. His accomplishments since then reflect the ideal of what we teach in schools of social work about community organization, social action, and social change. He was a central figure in California and the nation in the fight for social justice during the last half of the 20th century and the past decade. He was a multifaceted and multi-talented pioneer and leader in many areas, including social work, social justice, social change, and structural and institutional and organizational development. He did this work at many levels, including the local, regional, state, national, and international level. Many of the structures and organizations he helped to create and develop are still in existence, and indeed, they have sparked the development of new organizations and programs. In 1983, he and two other Latino leaders founded the Hispanics in Philanthropy organization, whose mission is to increase philanthropic support for Hispanic causes. Mission accomplished, Herman. Herman was often the first and only Hispanic to sit on foundation boards. His trailblazing influence extended into corporate boards as well as foundations. His accomplishments include 5 presidential appointments, an honorary doctorate from the University of San Francisco, the Hoti medal given by the Mexican government for distinguished leadership. His publication record is noteworthy. Herman is a visionary who has served in many roles, including social worker, author, researcher, social planner, organizer, activist, teacher, mentor, organizational leader, consultant to foundations and corporations, as well as a member of corporate and foundation boards of directors. Herman is a lifetime activist. The result of his work, activism, and accomplishments during his life continue to benefit us all, particularly the Hispanic, the minority community, and the disadvantaged. His family and friends who are here today can be very proud of Herman and all that he has accomplished during his career and life. He has truly made an impact. And his work continues to have a ripple effect in California and the nation. It is now my pleasure and honor to introduce Herman Gallegos, a true Renaissance man and social worker. Herman?
Thank you, Ben, very much. Thank you all for coming. I wish to express my thanks to the Hall of Distinction Committee and to CSWA for this honor. Over the years, I knew and worked with many of the past former inductees, and I had the pleasure of working with the 3 of the 5 inductees. And it just seems to me that it's been a real pleasure to somehow have been associated with this group of noble and durable role models that have represented the very best of what the social work profession is all about. Now, over the years, my road, like many of yours, has sometimes been very bumpy, very rough, but always good, knowing that what I tried to do was to improve the well-being of humankind, especially the people left behind. Now, any credit or recognition I get wasn't due to something I did on my own. I have my wife Maricela, I have my family, and I have many friends who helped me along the way. So I'm very grateful for their love and their support. And by the way, tonight is my wife Maricela's birthday and my father-in-law Eduardo Monterrubio's birthday, so please join me in extending a happy birthday to them. Happy birthday, Don Eduardo. Happy birthday, Maricela. Now, over the years, I've thought a bit about what I will be asked when I die and go and meet my Maker. Do I presume to believe that my Maker will ask me, why wasn't I rich or famous like someone else? No. My Maker is going to ask me one question, and that one question was, Gallegos, were you being your own authentic self? So I think tonight's award is an affirmation that indeed I tried to be my own authentic self. And coming on the twilight of my career, I'm very gratified. And who knows, this award may come in handy. Thank you.
Our next presenter is a member of our Hall of Distinction Committee and Professor Emeritus from UCLA. Both Joe Nunn, and our next inductee share the distinction that they were both presented with the NASW California Chapter Lifetime Achievement Award. Dellums in 1999 and Joe in 2006. Let's welcome Joe. Come on, Joe.
Thank you, Monica, and good evening. It is indeed, somebody say good evening back. Very good. It is indeed an honor and a pleasure to introduce our next inductee, Mr. Ronald Dellums. As social workers, many of us in this room have dedicated ourselves to improving the lives of others. Ronald Dellums is someone who has dedicated his life to public service, but uniquely, after entering his MSW program with a concentration in psychiatry from the UC Berkeley School of Social Welfare graduate program, he went on to serve the community on the local, state, and national levels. Along the way, he has often spoken about the value of social work education and how it shaped his career and contributions. I know when I read his book, Laying Down with Lions, I was struck by a couple of things. One is when he made the point that when a speech was given and people would analyze the speech, Ron would say, oh, he said much more than that, because he was able to listen with his third ear and look with his third eye, as social workers are known to do. The other thing he said that really struck me too is how he learned about persistence for change over time and how long it took them, to fight in Congress to actually get sanctions against South Africa. So those two lessons are things that I'm taking with me. Including almost 3 decades of service in the U.S. House of Representatives, Ronald Dellums has served as a social worker, politician, civil rights activist, community organizer, and a reformer. If you ever want to see a very, very touching speech, if you ever get a chance to see his speech before Congress in support of the bill for Japanese redress, it'll bring tears to your eyes. In his early years as a social worker in Oakland, he engaged with clients from the city and neighborhoods with which he was most familiar. His work in human services included positions as a psychiatric social worker at the California Department of Mental Hygiene and a program director serving San Francisco's low-income Bayview Hunters Point community. He also taught at both San Francisco State and UC Berkeley. In 1970, he was elected to the House of Representatives, where he represented Berkeley, Oakland, and the surrounding areas. Dellums returned to Oakland to serve as the mayor in 2006, where he worked to make Oakland a model city. During his term, violent crime rapidly declined by more than 50% over prior years. That's significant. We have received 2 letters that I would like to read bits or excerpts from that will provide with additional insight into Ronald Dellums' contributions. There are some copies of the letters on your table. The first is from Supervisor Keith Carson, currently serving on the Alameda County Board of Supervisors. For those of you who are not from the Bay Area, like me, Alameda County occupies most of the East Bay region of the San Francisco Bay Area. Among his comments, Supervisor Carson writes, too many people to name have followed in Ronald Dellums' footsteps and have been inspired by his example. His leadership and mentorship will, for many years to come, continue to affect many people in the East Bay, California, the nation, and the world. His legacy will continue to have an impact on the lives of ordinary people for years to come. Secondly, I'd like to read from a letter from Congresswoman Barbara Lee from the 9th District of California, which covers a significant segment of the East Bay portion of San Francisco Bay, including Oakland, Piedmont, and Berkeley, among others. And she writes, former Congressman Dellums has been a true mentor and inspiration to me. I joined him in being a fellow alumna of the University of California, Berkeley School of Social Welfare, and beginning my career as a former psychiatric social worker. I also benefited from his brilliant vision and guidance as a former member of his staff and as the successive elected member to win the 9th District congressional seat. His innovative leadership has had an immense effect on me, on our social work community, on both national and international levels. Moreover, the skills that Congressman Dellums honed as a social worker, battling systemic social issues head-on and developing workable solutions for vulnerable community members, made an indelible mark on his career in public service. As I extend my sincere congratulations to Congressman Dellums upon receipt of this honor, I would also like to thank and recognize all of you social workers currently assisting diverse, underserved populations in combating poverty, family instability, and mental illness and hardship. Mr. Dellums asked that we convey his profound regret at not being able to travel from Washington, D.C. to be with us tonight. We are happy to have as his delegate Margaretta Lynn, who worked with Mr. Dellums in the mayor's office in Oakland as a senior advisor on stimulus of the city of Oakland, and served as Oakland's deputy city administrator and the director of the Community Economic Justice Practice at the East Bay Community Law Center, which has become the largest provider of free legal services in the East Bay and nationally recognized poverty law clinic. Please welcome Margaretta.
Good evening. It's a great honor for me to be with you all here tonight, accepting this award for Ronald V. Dellums. Just want to say, as a young person in graduate school trying to find my path in life, it was Ron Dellums who gave me inspiration to be my authentic self, as Herman Gallegos talked about. And I have more recently been the beneficiary of Ron Dellums' mentorship and leadership. So it's a great honor for me to be here accepting this award for him. Ron asked me to share the following words of gratitude with you. I am deeply humbled and honored to be inducted into the California Social Work Hall of Distinction, and greatly wish that I could have been with you in person today. This honor is one of the closest to my heart and speaks to the values that have guided me throughout my political career in Congress and the city of Oakland. All throughout my political life, I have never ceased to be a social worker and have tried my utmost to embody the values, principles, and heart of social work. From my perspective, these include the compassionate treatment of all human beings, regardless of their status in life, giving people opportunities because they are endowed with brilliance, and operating strategically because we're out to change the systems that don't work for people. And as fate would have it, I am being honored today with the person who turned me into a lifelong social worker, Herman Gallegos. Herman Gallegos is legendary in my life. Herman, I think about you often. You changed the trajectory of my life, inspired me to maintain integrity all through the years, and to give opportunities to those who have been oppressed. Almost 50 years ago, Herman was my boss at the Revolutionary Youth Opportunity Center in Bayview, Hunters Point. I was a frontline staffer with dreams but no set path. Herman saw my potential and appointed me as the associate director of the center. In that one act, he doubled my income and changed my life forever. Herman Gallegos embodies the compassion, wisdom, and brilliance of social workers. I am forever grateful to the California Social Welfare Archives for inducting me into the Hall of Distinction with Herman Gallegos. I thank you for this tremendous honor, and I thank Bob Brower, my brother and friend, who nominated me for this award along with Jim Kelly. With my greatest respect and regard, Ron Dellums.
Our next presenter has served as executive director in the California chapter of NASW since 1995. He serves on the Hall of Distinction Committee and works hard every year to support our induction events, and generally we are so grateful for that. Before joining NASW, Mr. Wong served as the Chief Administrative Staff Officer for the County of San Diego and managed special projects such as Juvenile Dependency System Reform Project, and he earned his MSW from San Francisco State University. Jan Lee, thank you.
Thank you, Monica, and thank you all for attending tonight. It's really appreciated. This is a marvelous night. I can feel it in the air, and I'm already kind of broken up with comments from Ms. Lynn and certainly from Herman. So hopefully, I don't think I'll be able to say as much as they do, but I'll try. So first of all, you all read Ed Nathan's bio in the program, so I'll just give you some of my own personal reflections. I served with Ed on the CalSWA board, California Social Work Education Center, and he was like this very quiet sort of guy, except when he had something to say. So when he said something, we all heard it, even though he was only about this tall. So the other night, and I travel all over California, I drove by Occupy's site, and I thought I saw Ed Nathan there. And then I saw this political cartoon recently. It was 2 jail cells, and one of them full of people, one of them empty. The empty one said Wall Street. The full of people one said Occupy. And Ed was in that cartoon. So I thought, what's going on here? It must be getting close to Hall of Distinction. So Ed really has a kindred spirit with me because he worked with Southeast Asian refugees. But he had the tougher job. I worked in San Diego, nice climate, the beaches, etc. He worked in the Tenderloin of San Francisco. And that's because when the refugees came, they went to the poorest neighborhoods. And who was in the poorest neighborhoods? Ed Nathan. So they named some building and center and apartment complex in the Tenderloin after Ed. It's called the Nathan Building. So someday I think I'm going to see some Nathan buildings wherever I go in California. Finally, I run into a lot of California Social Work Education Center graduates. It's a fantastic program, the only one in this country, unbelievable. All the schools of social work, all the counties of California, the state of California, and the federal government producing thousands of wonderful social workers to go into public social services such as child welfare and mental health. So when I run into the CalSWEC graduates, they kind of give me this vibe and they say, the very first thing they say is, I am a social worker. And then they say, in child welfare or mental health. And then they say, I'm a CalSWEC graduate. So that's my memory of Ed. I love him to death. And I'm going to ask Bart Grossman from UC Berkeley, former field director there, faculty there, to come up and accept the award on Bart's behalf. Thank you.
Thanks, Jan Lee. It's a great pleasure and honor to accept this plaque on behalf of the Nathan family. Ed Nathan taught me many things, but I think the most important was that social work isn't just something you do, it's something you become. Ed Nathan was a social worker in every venue, as a therapist, a teacher, an administrator, a philanthropist, and because he lived the core values of social work, commitment to service and social justice, integrity and competence, respect for the dignity of all people, and a keen understanding of the importance of human relationships, he was able to unite disparate groups and overcome what seemed insurmountable obstacles. Ed knew the value of honest human contact and how to bring people together. He funded the early meetings and programs of the Bay Area Social Services Consortium, where vital relationships between county directors and social work deans were formed. It was Ed who brokered the connection between Harry Speck, former Berkeley dean, and the Ford Foundation that made the California Social Work Education Center possible. In the early years of CalSWEC, every time there was a change of director of social services in one of the counties, Ed would be on the phone to Harry and me, and the three of us would be out to meet and greet the new director and pull them into involvement with the center before they had a chance to protect themselves. But who could protect themselves from Ed? He was small and he seemed mild and friendly, and he was persistent to the point of being totally irresistible. Because of his ability to get people to work together for the greater good, the social services and social work education in California are better, stronger, and more effective, and more responsive to underserved clients and to underserved students. Ed always stayed on the edges, never in the spotlight, because he knew, as Harry Truman once said, it's amazing what you can accomplish when you don't think about who gets the credit. So I'm delighted this evening to see Ed get some of the credit he truly deserves. Thank you.
Now we have a presentation by Dr. Celeste Jones. She is a professor and director of the School of Social Work, Cal State Chico. She earned her MSW from the University of Oklahoma and her PhD from the College of Social Work in the University of South Carolina. Please welcome Celeste.
Good evening. As director of the School of Social Work and on behalf of the faculty, we would first like to acknowledge and thank the Social Work California Social Welfare Archives Committee and staff for their tremendous work in recognizing and continuing to recognize those social workers who are a legend in social work in California. Tonight I have the honor of introducing to you one of the 2011 inductees, Professor Jan O'Donnell. When thinking about what to present, I really struggled with this because she's done a great deal for Northern California, but one of her legacies is going to be our master's program. To create an MSW program, it takes a great deal of work, and you have to deal with the university as well as accreditation issues. And with this, during this process, the university struggled with whether this is really what they want to spend their time and money in creating. And with this challenge, the president received information and phone calls from the county mental health directors and social work directors that indicated they were more than willing to volunteer sitting outside his office so that they could convince him that this is what they needed to do. Now, when I say the county directors, we serve a region, the state of Ohio. So this carried a great deal of weight, and as within 24 hours, I think, that approval took place and Jan was off and running. When you create a master's program, there's a ripple effect that happens. And with that ripple effect, you not only train social workers to work collaboratively and have that client-centered perspective and to empower others, but you also train those social workers to empower themselves, to challenge those social policies, and to really change the status quo. It is that ripple effect that has not only touched the lives of the students that have graduated from our undergraduate as well as graduate program, but also the lives of the families in our communities in the North State. It is that dedication that I would like for you to know about Jan O'Donnell. Without further ado, I would like for Jan O'Donnell to join me on stage and accept the award.
Thank you, Celeste.
Thank you.
Stand up. I am truly humbled to be among the most esteemed colleagues. I am overwhelmed. I thank the committee and all of you who worked and will continue to work on this process. When Celeste mentions developing the MSW program, it really happened because we had a good team. We had an incredible community behind us. Kim Gahagan is here with the Northern directors. We hired some great faculty. Celeste was one of our first, and now she has taken over my job. So she's had headaches for the last 5 years that I don't have to have anymore. And it's been wonderful to watch her leadership. Just wonderful. I'd like to share with you what this honor means to me. I took the letter that the nominees, the people who nominated me for this award back to Michigan, where my 89-year-old father, who is still sharp as a tack, he would have been a great social worker. And he literally cried when he read that letter. And that means so much to me. And it means so much to my family back in rural northern Michigan. My husband, Jim, has been a great part of my team. Best listener in the world. He's also an MSW from Berkeley. And my faculty and friends in the back, part of the team, and our field director and mental health coordinator. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of the evening.
Presenting our next award is Eileen Gambrill. She's got a PhD from the University of Michigan. and is now a professor at UC Berkeley, where she teaches both research and practice. Please welcome Eileen.
It's wonderful to have Kermit touch my life in another way tonight. I first met Kermit when I arrived at Berkeley, and Kermit is the person who introduced me and who interested me in the field of child welfare. My field was quite different. It was specializing in mental health problems, severe anxieties, mental health problems of other populations, and Kermit's interest and his questioning were so innocent in a very clear way, in a way that wasn't obscured by a lot of language that kind of got in the way of thinking about children and their families and what was amiss about it. You can just look at the picture here to see that he was a happy man. That is some smile. He and I and Ted Stein worked together and conducted the biggest experimental study probably in the history of child welfare, and the very first, the Alameda Project, to try to test out whether a systematic case management procedure would be able to move children in a more timely manner out of the child welfare system. Because since way back in the 1950s, and before that really, the problem was children lingering in foster care forever, it seemed. And even now, what is amazing, the same lingering is often going on. So in terms of my feelings about what Kermit contributed to social work and all the many that his lives have touched, I'd like to read something that I call A Man Who Cared. Ready laugh, eager ear to share the joy and hear the pain. A clear simplicity, striking to the heart of matters. Something is wrong, and we need to fix it. Telling others and bringing them in to hear the pain and heed the call. There are things amiss, and we need to do something. Children are suffering, parents are in need. He heard the pain and heeded the call. A simple man in the best of ways. No pretense, no competition, other than the competition to understand and mute the stresses of life for families with others who also saw the pain and heeded the call. A simple man in the best of ways. I'd like to invite Paul Wiltse up to accept the award.
Thank you very much. Unfortunately, of course, Dad can't be here tonight, so we're going to accept the award for him. He would have been thrilled to get this award, but we will have to do for that. Thank you very much to the association.
This evening has certainly re-inspired and reaffirmed my decision to go into social work almost 40 years ago. Thanks to all of you for that. I'd now, to wrap up our ceremony, I'd like to introduce Esther Gillis. She is the president of the California Social Welfare Archives, member of our Hall of Distinction Committee, and a clinical associate professor at the USC School of Social Work since 2002. Esther is also a generous sponsor of our induction this evening, and we really welcome you up here, Esther. Thank you.
Thank you, Monica. Of all the events that I attend in the course of a year, this ceremony inducting social workers into the California Hall of Distinction is always the most moving, the most awesome, the most inspiring. And tonight certainly was no exception. It, once again, is just magical to think of the accomplishments, the dedication, the commitment, the abilities of the social workers that we've discussed this evening. Social workers moving mountains, achieving the impossible, change agents in action, reigniting the sense of the possible. I always leave this event feeling so rejuvenated and proud to be a social worker. It's I agree with you, Monica. If I had to make a choice today, given the experience here and with this organization, I would choose to be a social worker. Since my own school days, I've been a history buff, concerned about what came before, how did it affect what we do today, and discovering how the issues of our generation are often rooted in the past. And like me, the founders of the California Social Welfare Archives, way back in 1979, experienced some of these same feelings. I think it's some of the feelings that come with age. How do we preserve what was very important to us and very precious to us? And how do we assure that future generations will remember what we did and note what we did? Those were the feelings of the group that created the California Social Welfare Archives. They were concerned that the accomplishments of their generation would be lost to future generations, leaving them to a trial and error approach in the search for solutions to social and economic inequality and other problems in the field of health and welfare in California. So they formed a group. For many years, it was like a coffee club, a coffee clutch, it used to be called. They met, they talked, they decided what was important, they remembered, they gathered information, they gathered materials, they were just busy as bees. But it was all very informal. Over the years, the California Social Welfare Archives evolved into a more formal, nonprofit organization. Today it operates under the auspices of the USC School of Social Work in conjunction with the libraries at the University of Southern California, where our holdings are actually available to the public. The archives are available to students, to teachers, historians, researchers, and all those who seek to examine linkages between the past and the present in order to learn from history and inform understanding of contemporary and future social welfare problems. The website for our archives is identified in the program, and recently, over the past year, we modernized, which is very interesting since we tend to be past-oriented. We tend to do it like we did last year and the year before, and we don't take change very well, but CSWA is now on YouTube as a result of very, very creative interns that we brought into our program that are under age 30. The work of the extraordinary social workers honored here tonight expand the body of information in the archives and now become a part of the history that's maintained by our organization. I want to extend a very special thanks to Colleen Friend, the chair of the Hall of Distinction Committee, and the committee with whom she's worked. It's been a very active and very dedicated committee throughout the year. I would also like to say a thank you to Katie Mahalski, who always stands in the back, always is near the door, is always taking care of us, our wonderful support person. And particularly, I want to thank the family, the friends, and the colleagues of our newest inductees to the Hall of Distinction for sharing your evening with us and to applaud and honor the work of these very special social work leaders. So with that, thank you everyone, and good evening.
I think Sue and I both feel very fortunate that we were able to be part of something that really needed to be done, which is to recognize and remember our social work leaders forever. Yeah, not just temporarily, but really have a place for them in history. So hopefully, our students and other people who are considering social work and who just want to look up to somebody in the field, they will be there for them as role models.